Welcome to the Daughters of the Milky Way podcast. I am your host, Natalie, with my co-host, Amy, and we have a special guest, Liv Wheeler, here with us today. That we are so excited to be recording this episode for you. And before we even get started, I just want to take a moment and allow yourself to come into presence, come into your breath, into this moment right now. If you are driving, do not close your eyes. But if you are not driving, or not operating a vehicle, I'm inviting you to close your eyes, notice your breath, taking a deep inhale through your nose, exhale through your mouth, and just allowing yourself to pause in this moment, drop into your heart, and be present with us. May whatever is shared today be supportive for you. May it light the fire that's within your heart. And we'd love to hear how what we share today lands for you, what gets sparked for you. And with that, I shall pass the mic to my lovely co-host, Amy.
Thank you, Natalie. Well, Liv, it is wonderful to have you with us today. Thank you so much. So the topic is, we're still talking about manifestation and creation, and we'd like to go a little deeper with that. So just to start out, I would like to know the question of, what is manifestation and creation to you?
What is manifestation and creation to me? It feels like a big question. In a sense, it feels like it's that which is making way for life. Manifestation and creation is that which is making way for the expression of life. So if we're actively or consciously creating or manifesting, then we could say that we're actively engaging in the process of life creation. So I feel like there's ways that, well, basically I feel that we are always creating. Our being is always creating. And so that happens consciously or unconsciously or subconsciously. So it's always happening. And then when we're kind of stepping in or sitting on the horse, taking the reins, doing it however we're doing it, is the feeling of, that's the vision that I see, is rather than if we're kind of passively on the horse, may not be such a good idea, if the horse is going all different ways, but that is our soul or our life force or our creation. And so holding on to the reins I feel it's a process. It's a part of the awakening process. This is how I'm experiencing it. It's a part of the process of my soul awakening, is that I'm awakening to that my being is creating. So manifestation or creation to me is working with aligning with the forces of the universe, the kind of the dance of life, to work with it, to connect with it intentionally, so that we may be in this play together, in the play. And I was thinking about that just earlier because we've talked about this. I've just recently been learning a little bit about plasma. Natalie might laugh because there's a plasma woman that she showed me that is awesome, this woman. And I was listening to these two women talking about manifestation and plasma. So if I understand this correctly, what they're saying is that plasma is essentially what life is made of in a certain kind of way, is actually plasma. And then I've heard it said also that plasma responds to consciousness. So you could say if we're creating or if we're manifesting, that we can go into our consciousness and then work even intentionally with plasma, be communicating with it. But I also heard that plasma responds to play. So I found that really interesting. And I was thinking about that this morning. I was thinking about this idea. Spirit talks to me about this a lot, or can tell me, they talk to me about this a lot, about playfulness and divine play. There's like a playfulness it's a dimension of the divine that I experience. It's very playful. So when I heard that, I was thinking, that's so interesting. So plasma actually really responds to play. So what if you just like play? You're ready to play creation. And then, maybe it's like a child playing dress up or something like that, realizing, oh wait, I can be anybody that I want to. I can, and you have all these clothing options to choose from as a child, you know? You imagine there's all the different outfits. It could be a doctor, I could be a wizard, or I could be all these different beings. And so, yeah, maybe it's really like that, that it's with that plasma connection that the part of this awakening experience is realizing, oh, I can be playful and I can be, I can pick up all these different outfits and we can recreate ourselves so we can allow our expression to be fluid like that, playful.
I love that. Thank you so much. I always love to play on words. Play on words.
Yeah.
But my silliness forgot to say that Liv Wheeler is a voice diviner for the Contemplate.
Mm.
Would you like to tell us a little bit about yourself? I got so excited that you were our guest that I'm like, forgot to say that. So would you mind doing that for people that,
Yeah, sure. Saying a
yeah,
little bit about myself.
sure, a little bit.
Yeah, yeah, I guess just like a child who has different little outfits that they put on. So I have little outfits that I put on. Um, so yeah, one of them is that I'm what's referred to as a contemplative voice diviner that I was initiated through Elder Maladama Patrice Somé, who's now on the other side of the Dagra tribe of Burkina Faso. That yeah, I studied with Maladama, worked with him in ways for 8 years, and went to Burkina Faso and West Africa to go through these initiations. And the Candomblé within the Dagara tribe, those are the wee folk or the little people of Burkina Faso. Could be like the fairies, the fae, could be like the elves, could be like these different wee folk around the earth. So I went through initiations that enabled me ultimately to be able to communicate in their tongue and their language. Yeah, that's one of the little outfits I wear. Or no, that's one of the roles is that ultimately I came into this life connected with them already, connected with the Cantomblé, connected with the Fae, connected with the elves, connected with various wee folk, and then they helped me connect with Maladoma many years later, and then it ignited all these different things. So I love the Cantomblé, and yeah, so thank you.
Yeah, we love them too.
Yeah, for those of you who are tuning in, this whole podcast is because of Liv and the Contemplate.
Yes.
They had asked Amy and I uh, to create this podcast and to dive into the conversation around manifestation and creation energy and near death experience, because a lot of people who had near death experiences, a common theme that they have after when they're living is that the gift or like the power that we have as creators. And I feel, I mean, Liv, we know you, so we know you've been deep diving into the world of manifestation and like subconscious reprogramming and like like the truth that we are all creators. And I feel because of your, like the hat, as you were saying, or like the role that you play as a diviner, as a bridge between the spirit world and the rest of us, the human world, I feel like you have a unique perspective and lens, even though, because I know we've talked about this and you're like, I've been deep diving in manifestation. But I was thinking about this the other day. I was like, I mean, honestly, you kind of been deep diving forever. It just may not have been through the perspective of this is manifesting, this is creation. Because I feel oftentimes, and I know we've talked about this, is when people think of like manifesting stuff or like manifesting or like creation, and usually it's through the lens of manifesting that people will speak about it. They're oftentimes thinking of like stuff, right? Like how I said that word, like manifesting stuff. Like they're thinking of the material, manifesting money. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. We do need like to be able to operate and to create things. It does help to have money. But I feel in many ways, there's like it's like the first layer of manifesting in many ways. There's just so much more depth. There's so much more layers of depth that one can go into when you start really, okay, what does it mean to be a creator? What does it mean? We have this amnesia that occurs when we're born into this life. And in many ways, I feel like the pathway or like the discipline of, it feels more like a pathway or a practice of manifesting helps support one to remember what was lost when we were, um, born into this avatar that we're experiencing life through. And I'm curious for you, through the lens of spirit and through the lens of you, what could be something that's helpful for someone who maybe has only thought of manifesting as a way to get stuff or get a life that they want, or what, like, to even go beyond that. Like, what could be something helpful?
Will you say that last part one more time? Is that so you're saying for those that they might be thinking of manifestation mostly around money or something, oh, I manifested a partner, I manifested a dog, or I manifested all these different things that people say that they manifested.
Yeah. I feel like the conversation ends at that.
Yeah.
Like, I know for me and myself, I mean, for many years, I understood manifesting, and I have manifested a dog. I have manifested a house, like those different things. And I could have just stopped at that. I got the thing that I was looking for,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I have found over the years that that's just the beginning. That's just like this is really funny that wants to come through, but that's just like the gateway drug. Like, that's just the thing that it opens up a whole other realm.
Well, well,
Like, yeah, but it's not about, and typically it's like manifesting the dog, for example. That's great. That's an amazing experience. And there's so much beyond that. What I've experienced, and I know we've talked about this, I'm curious of, like, for folks who, because I think this is the thing I found, is that a lot of people are like, oh, that's very materialistic. I don't want to, like, there's like maybe internal judgment around manifesting because it's like everyone's just trying to get money.
yeah. It's kind of fun.
Just give me the money. You know what I mean? And then so oftentimes people will be like, well, I don't really want to be like a millionaire. That
Yeah.
doesn't inspire me.
Yeah, yeah, because I think basically I think the plasma is tickling me. I think basically, yeah, I mean, essentially, essentially, yeah, it can really actually be anything. It can be anything, and so, yeah, and I feel that, I mean, I feel like the heart of it is basically it works, it functions. Creation, manifestation, when somebody's applying themselves, it functions. It functions. Somebody has an intention and they'll achieve it. Also, yeah, imagine just like the way we relate or that we connect to anything, whether that be spirit or anything. It's like, well, the contemplate will say, the way is as important as the thing. So the way that we relate to it is also gonna, it's gonna be reflected in how it's part of the whole flow of the energy. But yeah, I'm connecting with it a lot lately, or we're connecting with it a lot lately in the sense of seeing people through the years who, many of the ways that I've been connecting with people is if they connect through divination, they want to understand their life purpose. They want to be connected to their gifts. They want to be connected in these ways. And that there were some things that I saw was commonly happening that was genuinely confusing to me, that different things, I mean, well, they can know their purpose and they can want to be successful in the sense, let's say they have a healing ability, they want to share their healing, and they want to receive for it. Meaning they want to be successful in that way. They want to share that and they want to be receiving for that. And yeah, of course. I mean, maybe that's a big part of our purpose for being there, to have the whole circuit is complete. You know what I mean? You're sharing of your gifts and then you're receiving for that. Just different things that I could see that there were blocks in some places where I couldn't understand. And I didn't know, because also wasn't claiming to be somebody that could help with manifestation those exact ways. So I was more being a conduit for helping them to understand or connect with spirit. But also I could see that spirit was trying to connect with them in certain ways and trying to give to them in certain ways. And somehow there were blocks, you know? So there were just some questions that I didn't understand. didn't understand how that was there. And then, yeah, more recent years, being maybe the past 5 or 6 years or something, really deep diving. They're like, you know, find out what reality is made of. Okay, 6 years later, like, what is it made of? And yes, but anyway, so a big part of this like deep dive that I've been in and the ways that they've guided me, which has made way for some of the recent ways that we share in sessions, and that is connecting with the subconscious. So connecting in with the subconscious, which is creating 95% of our life, subconscious creating our life. Who's manifesting? Our subconscious is manifesting. So yeah, that you can think, yeah, that it's nice. I think it's more than nice. I think it's empowering to know that, yes, if you have an intention for something and you want to receive that, sure, you should be able to receive that. That doesn't make you a materialistic person. I mean, if somebody decides to be materialistic, then they've decided to be materialistic. But I feel also that there's a lot of programming also that's there, a lot of conditioning that's there too, that ultimately generates pain for a person and scarce energy. And that doesn't feel good. I don't think that feels good for anybody. So meaning to be more specific, let's say if somebody has a program in their subconscious that, a religious person isn't supposed to want, and they're not supposed to have, and they're not supposed to have money, they're not supposed to want money, or all these things. And as an adult, you can think, well, those aren't my beliefs. And sure, I think that I should deserve to receive for my gifts or sharing. But unless that's released from your subconscious, that's playing into the creation of your life, playing into the creation of, if somebody is, it's a vibe that somebody will pick up from you. They just don't want to give you money. I just don't feel like giving her money. It's really helpful to get into these vibes that we're putting off, that are emitting from our being, from our subconscious, because then it can be this loop that you feel, yeah, I'm worthless. I'm no good. And in a really sincere way, that person is really trying to share their gifts and then feel like they're getting this reinforcement of, maybe I should just stop. And it really could stop the person. I mean, think about that. The person could have the most beautiful heart, the most beautiful gifts, for sure deserve to receive. Is that going to turn them into a materialist? Are they going to just go like crazy with it? I don't know. It's however they choose to live their life. You know what I mean? It's just like, I don't know. We're sovereign souls. It's wherever they choose to go with that. But that doesn't mean it's not material that corrupts a person. Material doesn't corrupt a person. It can be anything, you can have anything. It's not that corrupts a soul. It's just basically what a person, how they choose to be, how they choose to cultivate themselves. This is everybody's choice. But I can imagine before I say that is, yeah, to follow through with that thread is essentially saying that, yeah, and there are ways to be with, you can say, manifestation or conscious creation in the way that, let's say, you're a person who is aware you have a gift to share. And what you're wanting to create is to be connecting with the people who are going to receive that, and it's going to be well received, and you're going to receive from it in a way that feels, overflowing to your heart, not just, oh, I just have enough to get by, but overflowing. And so also because I really feel my perspective is that it's really important to understand. Let's say I just recently have dove into the Hermetic principles that I was hearing a lot of people speak about, the 7 Hermetic principles from Hermes Trismegistus, I think. But I don't know. It's just a fun word to say. And that many people know, as above, so below, as within, so without. These that are just kind of like common knowledge, but not understanding where did that actually come from. But what are said to be these kind of governing energies or laws in the sense, or you could call them principles, just meaning, as an example, there's gravity. If I drop something, there's gravity, meaning it just is. It's whether you think it's good or bad, it just is. It's just part of what is. And so when we're allowing our souls and our energy to align in these ways. So life can be an expression that doesn't feel, or that it's, oh, why does it feel like life is so hard? Does God hate me? You know what I mean? Because it's whatever's not resolved in the subconscious. And as we've gone through this process of just really filtering out, releasing those from the subconscious, and then you just kind of like keep cleaning up the energy, cleaning it up in the sense that it's releasing the energy out. So just cleaning it in the sense that the energy releases out, the belief releases out. And then what we've been seeing is that, yeah, you can continue to watch your life change around you, watch the way people are responding differently to you. And to me, it seems really magical. Some people call it science. I like to think of it that it's quite magical. I hear some people say, it's not magic, it's science, it's this, but I'm here to say I find it quite magical. I love the magic in it. And what relate to it as magical, that it can be more magical even.
I agree. I love the magic. I think we can attest, right? Because I do want to say that you have had this inner flame monthly, right? And I've been a part of that probably, I don't know, the last 9 months.
Mm,
It is powerful. That's another thing that you do. You bring the gatherings, and like I can see your manifestation working. Like you're just this is what we're doing. And I mean Natalie can attest to that too. It's like, what? Like we're clearing the subconscious. You can actually feel the clearing of the subconscious. But
mm,
I wanted to ask you the question, do you think, like, what would be the biggest misconception people have about manifestation?
mm.
Because the blocks that we were working on these past 9 months have made way for our own manifestations. So there's people out there that, like, come on, really? Yeah, yeah.
Wait, come on, really? That they would be feeling, that they don't believe
That
that
they could
manifest.
change. Yeah, that they could actually change their lack of confidence, that they can
Mm.
change their lack of money, lack of anything. All those things that are our beliefs and patterns that we grew up with.
I know, isn't it amazing? I mean, well, what I'm saying isn't amazing is because I'm smiling also because I'm feeling your being and Natalie's and everybody, just feeling everybody. We've all been changing so much in it, and it's beautiful to see everybody just grounded in their authentic soul energy and just feeling good about, feeling good about the self, that to be able to share and to think, to have thoughts and to do this without maybe like self-censoring or something like that, is that the being can just flow. And yeah, I mean, it's the way spirit has been guiding, as you know, but I mean, I, I'm in awe of them, I'm like, but it's, you just got to get to that key, that place in there. And then once it releases, it's amazing because the whole outer reality will shift. And it's beautiful too, because then we can get closer and closer to source, to our nature, to our divine abilities that live inside of all of us. And then realizing too, the more that we shift and change, is that the way we see life shifts and changes, the way we see people shifts and changes, the way that you just naturally want others to have, to have and to be happy. And rather than being concerned of, oop, power just went out. Okay. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. You could just say that we're in
Were you
different
listening?
countries. We're in different countries, and then I just manifested myself over. I thought life could be magical. So that's my fun.
So you're probably wondering what happened as you're listening to this, but we had a little bit of a magical occurrence occur. Now, Liv has manifested herself into my space, and we're going to continue flowing. Apologies for the interruption to the way that the flow is going, but we're going to go. I feel like this is plasma like tickling us,
It can also be, people also talk about with timeline shifts. Sometimes people talk about conscious creation or manifestation when somebody's, what people talk about, like manifesting a whole quantum leap,
meaning you're kind of going into a whole big upgrade to your reality because you've been kind of clearing, healing, alchemizing, forming, feeding into your subconscious exactly what you're actually just wanting to live as a life, the whole life, a whole different life sometimes. So sometimes people will talk about that. It can seem that things go a bit wonky or haywire. That it's part of maybe we're all upgrading right now together. Well, we could set this intention right now that those that are listening, that we're in that intention together. If you agree, then we are setting the intention that we are elevating into a new reality that feels good to your heart and feels um it just feels wonderful because it's whatever you're actually wanting to experience. So I guess I could flow with that too, because we were kind of touching on materialism and these different and then with this idea that, let's say with the example of somebody, they have a gift, they want to share their gift, they want to be received for their gift, also meaning money and clients that are aligned with them and this kind of thing, so that you can go into these different ways of subconscious clearing and alchemization of basically whatever is unresolved in your being or is active in your subconscious without realizing it, which is giving an outer reality experience. And then once it's shifted, then suddenly it can feel that things come into alignment, even though before your soul may have felt, well, I'm in alignment. I know what I want. Putting myself out there, I don't understand. Why am I not being received? And so, so then with the shift, the shift in this kind of way of alchemizing and shifting the subconscious and then, going into that intentional place that it can simply align and it can flow with ease and grace. That's really what we're seeing a lot too, is that life can be full of ease and grace. And I think it's just also empowering for people to know and to have the experience when they apply themselves to it in whatever ways they choose to. I think it can be really empowering to know that you can change your life. You can change your life in any way that you want to, regardless of so many things that we think that we're powerless to. Some people will say that we're creating this whole thing. I mean, some people will say that we're creating the entirety of our life experience. I mean, I don't know, but how would you know anyway? Well, you can do some shifting and see. That whole idea of as within, so without. Well, if you're seeing something outside a lot that you don't like, well, what if you can shift something internally and then maybe it will shift external reality? So I think it can be really empowering for people to know that if they choose to. And as I said too, I just see it also as, for me personally, it's been a part of my awakening process.
Yeah. I feel like sitting with what you're saying, 'cause there's a couple things that was coming up as you were just speaking, because there's the one piece of like, which I know you've shared this before, of like when a person, when they're, let's say they have the message, I want to buy a home, for example. But, and that's like the vision that they're holding. Maybe they make a vision board or they write it down, or, they do the things, but if there's anything in their being that's contrary to that, then it doesn't allow for that, like the signal to be crystal clear. And I know that sometimes you can hear it in a person's voice, like when they're saying a thing, that it's like, wait, but it's like subtle, but it's like something's like not quite lining up. And before you were speaking about plasma and um how plasma likes play with us, and it is very much like a living consciousness. And I oftentimes I like giggling about the plasma. I can't not giggle about the plasma.
For some reason, plasma is funny.
Yeah, for some reason plasma's funny. But I oftentimes think, I'm like, oh, people talk about like the quantum, like there are some teachers that like go into the quantum and that's like the focus, right? And I feel in many ways like the feeling of what the quantum feels like to me and the feeling of what plasma feels like to me feel like the same thing. And then I know that we've talked about the Divine Mother. I've never heard it. You're like, oh yeah.
Oh, I didn't realize. I'm like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
thanks for opening that door.
Yeah. Because something that, oh, I get chills even talking about it. Because I'll say the first time I experienced plasma, Liv was guiding us in a meditation or a journey, a meditative journey. It's probably a proper word to use. And this was years ago. And it was connecting with the cosmic mother. And it was the spirit was guiding us through this experience, this activation. And I remember that was the first time I ever felt plasma. And I remember being like, wait, what's this feeling? Because I had never felt that before. It was new. And I was like, whoa, oh, I like this. Like, this feels good. I remember like the texture was like effervescence. I think that's the word. And it just like, it felt like warmth. It felt it's like love. It just felt really, really, really good. And I was like, I like this and I want to be in this all the time. This feels so good. Fast forward many years later, and then this finalist woman who's talking about plasma on Instagram. And I was like, oh my God, that's what it is. I didn't even understand the connection between plasma, the quantum, manifestation, mother. I mean, I understood the mother part because it was very clear. Cosmic mother, that's how it made way for the experience of feeling plasma. And now whenever we do like different meditations and like the ceremonies with the awakening and flame that Amy was talking about earlier, these meditation practices that we've been doing on a daily, just feeling that mother energy, like divine mother, bigger and bigger and more and more. And I feel like it's that for me has opened like the door for manifesting is like just that's like the gateway into the mother in many ways, I feel. And like, what does the mother ultimately want for her children? You know? And it's like, and it's that piece of like, yeah, when I know there's a study, if you put, which I know this is going towards like manifesting around money, but there is a study, if you put money in the hands of women, communities thrive because it's natural to be like in the wanting to support people and wanting to like things to be thriving and flourishing because that's natural, the way of the feminine, I feel. And I know there's maybe a question in there, but that's just the piece that's like coming through around what you're sharing of like that piece of like, it's thinking the awakening process, wherever you're in that process, maybe maybe the thought of manifesting hasn't been your thought, but I think eventually you're going to come to that door because eventually that is going to be the pathway of like, remembering who you are is going to lead you to the pathway of the mother because she's been erased from history, purposefully erased. Like there's a reason why we aren't taught the Hermetic principles. There's a reason why brilliant souls across time have, I'm thinking of that one teacher, I can't think of his name, but there's brilliant souls who have figured this out in a scientific way to prove that the mystic arts are correct and have been correct for thousands of years, then the power, the ones who are in charge, I don't even like to say that word, but they were erased. They were taken out to like not share this because it doesn't serve the few that may be hoarding a lot of power for the rest of us to remember that we're all creators, that the divinity exists within us, and that it's not just for a select few. Again, I know there's probably a question in there somewhere.
Amy is just giggling. She's hanging out with plasma. She's like, I don't know. I'm sparked by I'll pick up the thread about the mother because that's something. So when I was going into, I give respect to all these different teachers that have been sharing this knowledge, and also Joe Dispenza that I was working with a lot, or I have been working with a lot of his meditations through the years, and that he's one that so many are aware of now that talks about the quantum realm. And so I was really trying to understand, what is this? What is this? What is this? Is this the same as when I go into ceremony? What is, so I just know through the process of direct experience. I'm like, well, I don't know. Let me find out. And I just kept going into that space, the quantum, to feel and to sense. And then spirit started guiding me, and they were saying, that's mother, and I said, I was asking spirit, what we're talking about as the quantum, you're saying that's mother, and they're saying that's mother. That's mother. And so then, so feeling these connections and the ways that they were guiding us, the cosmic mother was sending this signal out that we were picking up this signal of connection. Cosmic mother was like, sending out a message. The mother is getting stronger. The mother is, trying to help her children. And it's interesting too, because even when you think about it in this way, or even conceptualize it in this way of mother, and that, I mean, quantum, okay, that's fine, but it can feel a little bit like a computer program. And maybe at a time where we might want to be distinguishing that we're not a computer, and we're souls and we're organic and all of that. Could be. It's a way, that it feels very natural for me to relate to her in that way. And I feel her very real and cosmic mother, divine mother. And that, it's like, well, how do you remember mother? It's, well, you can just kind of, like rock a little bit, and also known as coherence, where your heart and your mind you start rocking a little bit, and your heart and your mind go into coherence. And the next thing you know, when you're putting your awareness there, there's mother, we're being embraced by mother. And looking at it also from this perspective of that we're drops of water and mother is the ocean, this cosmic ocean. And so we go, when the little droplet of water is away from mother for too long, she can get very dried up. She can get dried up, also known as scarcity. The water gets dried up being away from the mother for too long. Cosmic ocean, she becomes scarce. Oh, I don't have enough. I don't have this. I don't have that. I don't have that. Like the scarce mind kicks in. And then when little droplet returns to the ocean, then it's like, oh my God, I have so much. Anything that I want and need. And of course, the loving mother is she going to say, she wants us, especially. Can you imagine from her perspective? She's this ocean. She's like trying, the waves are coming in, trying to help the little droplet. And then again, when we have these programs in our mind of the opposite of the divine, let's say the opposite of God, I'm not going to say these names, but these programs that are like, oh, or you can think, oh, God, this must mean that God hates me or life hates me, or that it's like, actually, you might just have some programs that once you release them and once you get that conditioning and that actual just indoctrination out of your body, and then with a little effort, you might feel that embrace. And then we might feel less preoccupied with what others are doing, not being so preoccupied with tallying what people are doing. Who has this, who has that, as though we're judging their reality. It's, can be a distraction from us just actually living our lives. And it is interesting too, because in that perspective of creation, manifesting, that we are always manifesting. And so if we're going into this process of judging others and hating others and criticizing them and everything, we are generating that for ourselves. It's a generator, because our thoughts and our words and our energy, that which we're giving energy to, we're generating that to come right back to us. And that's the whole thing about the Hermetic laws, is that it's just the way energy functions. So I think that's part of spiritual development too, is to realize when we just understand these things. And I think it's just part of any soul's maturation process, is that we become aware, oh, wow. Some people will understand to some degree, of course, people understand that cause and effect. But when we really do that study and to see, to really see, we're hurting ourselves in the process and we're hurting others. And then if you allow that to transform, again, the scarcity, the little droplet that's getting dried out. So when the droplet returns to the ocean, the oceanic consciousness, the cosmic consciousness, when the little droplet returns, also known as releasing, what's that word? Separation consciousness. That's a way that the little drop returns to the ocean, is to release separation consciousness, so that we can even just sense and feel that we are actually one. We are actually unified. And when we can feel that viscerally in our senses, then we can feel so much more confident, capable, able to do what we're wanting to do. And as you said, also with women, uniting, and when women have money, resources, is that I feel like I hear more and more women talking about this, is that I do feel that there's a kind of like a paradigm shift that's happening now.
Oh, yeah.
I hear many more women that are spiritual. They have certain values and stuff, and they're like, we're ready to have money because it's not helping anybody for us not to have money. What good is that doing anybody? And they're saying, we have visions. We have things that we want to do here on earth that are for the well-being of all. We also need money, and so they're working with it very consciously, very deliberately in these ways. And I do see that as I'm watching, I'm hearing more and more people talk about that. Sure, why not? I mean, whatever the measure, however we work with value or the currency, it could be money, it could be cowrie shells at a different time. It can be anything. It's just a lot. We have all these ideas. It can even be programs of money corrupts people. Money makes people evil. All of these programs that are in there that it's like money is an energy. Money is I don't know if money likes to be talked about like that. Money's like, I'm not evil. Why are you talking about me like
Jump
this?
on me.
It's just like, geez, bad juju on me.
Trying to be. Everyone's got to put their anger.
I mean, really think about that. It's like, if you have a crystal, do you have a crystal?
I do.
We'll have a little demonstration. This is our high-tech demonstration. That if it's that, so it's a crystal, a rose quartz crystal. So imagine crystal equals money. And so if you imagine that this is the currency for money, or, this is like how people pay is through this rose quartz crystal. And imagine that people are like, sorry, Crystal, I'm not really going to mean this. This is just a demonstration. But if you're saying, crystals, rose quartz make people evil. People who have rose quartz crystals, they're evil, they're wicked. It corrupts them. It's like, sorry, Miss. It was just a demonstration. We love you. But imagine, because why would money like, in other words, it can be anything what are we really talking about? You know what I mean? It's like, what are we actually saying? What are we actually saying to each other? And this is all of this to be effective at manifestation or conscious creation, I feel, is you're going to be getting into the deeper layers of almost anything. That's how spirit guides me, is that there's the thing is, let's say the person has the intention of, they want to receive money for their project. Okay, so we're going into the tapping around that. So it might be that they felt like their dad didn't love them. Their mom punished them. When I'm starting to see and to feel what is there, it's a lot that, it's that, or they feel all the ways that they've been criticized. That's what I'm seeing a lot in those energies is, imagine that. The subconscious is translating that to, I cannot receive money for this vision, for this project. And what if that vision, what if that project is going to help so many people, so many lives are going to be better for that? Should they receive the money, the resources? Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And anyway, if you imagine it from the perspective of what they're showing is essentially saying the lack mind or scarce mind it can be so deeply wired into our being that we're actually thinking that this is a scarce reality, that we're actually believing that. And that's why I think it can be really helpful also, is to go into the deeper energetics of where is matter arising from? What makes matter? Whether it's a crystal or it's money or it's water or it's glasses or it's anything, where does it actually originate from? Where is it coming from? Every time when we're looking at each other and we see physicality or we see anything physical, where is it coming from? It came from the earth. Where is this coming from? Quantum physics, I believe, will say that we're all energy and this is not solid. It's energy. So it's not solid, it's energy. Okay. Are we running out? Is the universe running out of energy? Is there a shortage of energy?
And energy can't be destroyed.
Yeah.
That's another of the laws.
Yeah. If you just kind of like follow just go a little deeper into the energy, going a little deeper into the energy can undo the spell, can undo the program. That's why I think it's useful to go a little bit deeper. Where is this? So moment to moment, it's going like particle and wave. We're seeing it as particle, but it's coming from, where is it coming from? Well, maybe it's coming from mother. Maybe mother is generating this from moment to moment. And can mother generate another one? Or, I think mother is probably, yeah, I think she's, that we can work with her and learn from her and learn with her. And if it was mother that pulled animals into another place, also known as extinct, maybe, okay, so she's a teacher also, but maybe we can talk to mother and say, we love these animals. Is it possible that they could return? So we're creating with mother, we're working with mother. I understand you needed us to learn about these ways and about respecting animals and respecting life. We really love these animals. Is it possible they could return?
Pretty please.
We really love them.
Pretty please and sugar on top. That is interesting. I'm going to give the mic to you in a second, Amy, but it is interesting what you're sharing, though, about what you find with the subconscious clearing when people are like focused on money. That can be, it's also like a gateway. It could look like, oh, I just want to manifest money, but then what may arise? Because I see that in emotion code too. Like some people, they may think, "Oh, I just want help around a block around receiving money, or a block around like the creative thing that I want to do to create money or whatever it may be." And oftentimes it's not like the money. The money is just like, it's like the doorway that leads to a thing that's deeper. Oftentimes it is like things will come up around parents, sometimes ancestral stuff, sometimes like just experiences they had at very young ages where these things that happened cause the way they relate to themselves. And so that's always like and it's never the same thing for each person. It's always different. And I'm sure you see that as well. But then it's always fascinating to see what, again, it's just what you were saying. It's like, if this is, we love you. It's like, this is the thing that's actually the doorway to something much greater.
Yeah.
Which is why I feel that eventually anyone on their healing path eventually is going to be knocking at the doorway of manifesting. They may not realize, like it may not be overt manifesting, but I feel like eventually you're going to get to that doorway, because that's just going to lead to a deeper level of awakening to who you are.
Yeah, and I've heard Joe Dispenza speak about this also, that people that he's seen that they, let's say they have the intention of, for money, they want money, they want abundance, they want wealth in these ways. But basically what he's also saying is that the next step is going to be philanthropy. You know what I mean? Because ultimately through the whole process on a deeper level too, our soul is also here to have experiences. Our soul is wanting to have, our soul or our being is craving or wanting to have experience also, in the development. And so at that point, it's like, okay, now what the soul then desires is to give it, is to be, to go into philanthropy, because yeah, it's just a natural thing that can happen. But I think, yeah, as much as we can go into the essence or the heart of it too, to see that the water can keep communing with the mother in these different ways, and so can feel that sense of being spiritually full, spiritually satisfied.
Yeah. Wow. Oh, I feel as though, so I felt like this weaving today was, I have to ask you the question about faith in all of this. Like, because people can lose faith while they're manifesting, thinking I'm doing everything that I've read about, I've been taught, all of this. So what does faith have to do with manifesting? Yeah.
That's a great question. That's the plasma beings.
Yes.
I feel faith is so important too, because it's, you're working, in a sense, you're working with the unseen, the unmanifest before it comes into the manifest. So yeah, absolutely. I feel that it is so important to hold the faith
that you hold that as a steady, you keep coming back to faith. And I believe that's so important, which allows it to come from the birth canal, coming all the way into the physical world, that it's maybe if it's a spirit or something that is going to be birthed in as a baby. Yeah, it's so helpful that the faith allows it to keep coming into the physical form, and then continue to be birthed into the physical world. But yeah, because for sure the mind can say, "Oh, how do I know? I don't see anything yet." But there's a lag, there's a delay from the moment that we're working with spirit, with the mother, before it comes in. There's a delay. And so, doubt, fear, and everything can kick in, those things, but it's to kind of exercise the faith muscle to keep working that, so that it allows for it to fully come in, which I feel is I imagine those of you that are mothers, I imagine, yeah, it's like when you see your baby come in, you see something that you've like wanted and you've hoped for and you've dreamed about, and it's just felt like the most precious thing, these dreams, these visions, that spirit puts into us. And then when you see it and you've been participating with the spiritual dimensions, you've been doing it together, and then you've been alchemizing and really evolving yourself in this way, and dedicating to love and to the heart. Because really, ultimately, it is all of the heart. It's of source. It's born of love, the practices of love. That's what I feel. It's all about love. It's love that connects us with the mother. It's love that connects us with source, because that's what source is love. And so the more that we can just allow that to strengthen, then we get to see that amazing thing through faith. Yeah.
I want to add to that too, because something that comes to mind is like in order to manifest the version of you that exists in this moment is the version of you that created the reality you're existing in. There does need to be, it's going to sound dramatic, but there does need to be a death of the version of you that exists in the right now. And I feel like something that, it's like almost like the death of the version of you now, allowing yourself to go into that void, that the plasma, the quantum mother, like go into those sacred waters to be reborn again, the new version. And in that in between, because you are in a physical body supporting the nervous system, because we found that that's like such a key aspect of it, because have a daily practice of supporting your nervous system to expand and to be able to, I feel like, hold greater energy, because you're in this metamorphosis process that's happening when you are actively working with source, creator, mother, in this like weaving that's like, it's like you're being created and you're creating simultaneously. And I feel that it's like, yeah, how does a butterfly go into like, first version was a caterpillar, goes and like knows that it needs to go do this thing, creates the that thing's called the thing that they create,
Larva?
the
Chrysalis?
cocoon, the chrysalis,
Oh, cocoon.
Yes. We all got it. The chrysalis. They go and they dissolve. They literally become soup. Imagine if that caterpillar did not have faith. Like, there is something on the other side of this. And that's also why I mean, I know we're ending this conversation soon, and we'll probably do another episode to go even deeper into this. Like Amy and I were talking, we're probably going to do a part 2 of Liv, because there's just so much we could talk about.
Yeah.
But the reason why I feel that the near-death experience is something that Natalie also asked us to talk about is because in many ways, it's like so many of us have fear of death because we feel like that's the end. But the thing consistently that people who have near-death experiences say is that death is not the end. It's just like I should even get chills just talking about it. It's just like the next step. And so in that same way, we experience death, not physical death, but we experience ego death, or like the death of our identity in our spiritual evolution and awakening, because the version of us that existed, I mean, I think I'm on version million 2.0 or something. I don't even know. I don't know which version of this Natalie you're with at this moment. But it's a continuous evolution, because it's a choice that I've made in my life to continue to do that. Is you do have to choose that. Because I'm trying to pull it all together so we can tie it with a bow. But the thing about faith is like, yeah, that caterpillar goes into the chrysalis and literally dissolve into like a soupy substance to then be reborn into a butterfly. That's what we are experiencing when we're manifesting. So if we can have the faith of a caterpillar, then imagine, I mean, I believe that we can manifest a world where there's harmony and abundance flowing for all. Like, I believe in the dream of a greater world. Like, I love reading, which promise this is going to tie into it. And so when I love reading, and I love reading books of that, like you see the characters go through these like deep like arcs where they're facing their demons and their shadow, and they go, and then they have to have the support of other people to be able to like go through those journeys. And they're just like their light, like their North Star is the dream and the hope for a better world. Those stories resonate so deeply for me because that's the story that I'm living in my life. I believe that we have the potential to create a better world for all. And I know I'm not the only one. Like, you're likely listening to this podcast because maybe you also believe in that as well. And like, I think that's why this conversation on manifestation and creation and tying in the perspectives of people who have near-death experience is so important, because those are like if you're familiar with the book, The Alchemist, it's like, those are the signs of the universe showing you like, keep going. Like, this is the way. Don't give up on yourself. There is so much goodness in you. Like, you're not here on accident. No matter what your origin story is, however you came to be in this world, we all have a purpose. And I think it's important for us to awaken to that, because I'll just talk about that. I think it's really important for all of us to awaken the fact that we're all here on purpose, and we get to decide what that purpose is, in a sense. And I think the purpose is to make a greater world. Make a greater world for all. Because I feel that's the original dream of this beautiful planet that we're living on, is for this place to be a sanctuary for all of life in the universe. And everyone just get on board with that.
Yeah. So then, that if there's whole collectives, a collective around the earth, a growing collective of souls, consciousness, which is true. It's happening now and it's growing. Those of us that are consciously creating with the spiritual dimensions, aligning, synced up with source, and for that purpose. Yeah, we're growing. All of us around them, and I can sense. I know many souls around the earth like this, but also I'm aware that we're all growing, meaning there's more and more people who are, I believe, awakening to that. Like, there's something, there's others, there's something. You got it like a sense, and you move towards that feeling. And I believe that's the Mother uniting us in love.
I love that. All that about faith is really, faith to me would be just to participate in reality. Participate in your reality and acknowledge those parts of you that you may not like, and to work on that, and to have faith that you can. I mean, I think that's what the Inner Flame has taught me, is that you have to acknowledge all of those things and have faith that you can manifest really anything in your life. That's really what it feels like to me.
I'm so inspired to hear that. And for some reason, can tell me they kept asking me to mention moss. Because like, moss. Yeah, she just starts laughing. She's like, moss. How do you feel about moss?
I love moss.
Yes, it's so funny because they consistently. No, it's so funny because right now I'm putting together with their guiding me. They're guiding me in this way of like putting together a whole pre-recorded course, a whole set of teachings around conscious creation, manifestation, and then also what will be like a series, of course. But they just kept saying moss, and I was like, you want moss in the name? And so it's interesting because I'm kind of like fresh in that process of creating it with
with them right now. And so I was looking up moss. I was like, what does moss have to do with? But anyway, so yeah, it just feels right.
Yeah, I feel it's funny because I was going to ask you, is there anything that you're creating right now? So you already answered that question.
Yeah.
Because I wanted you to talk about the training. But it's interesting because it's so funny. Anytime I've seen Liv share that in like the past 48 hours,
Yeah.
everyone has the same reaction to moss.
So funny.
And it's funny because I think I understand, I don't mentally understand why moss, but in my body, I'm like, oh yeah, moss, of course.
Yeah,
Feels like
moss.
it's like, I mean, I have photos of moss at like summertime and wintertime at the sunrise with a little bit of frost over it. I think moss is like, it feels like a miniature world. It feels
It
like what I would
does.
imagine, like when you see like, I like superhero movies. Make fun of me all you want. I don't care. There's this superhero movie, Ant-Man, when they go into the quantum realm. And it's like a miniature, they like shrink down into like the miniature. And I think sometimes when I look at moss, I'm like, there could be like a whole like village existing in this moss. And my eyes may not even be able to perceive it because it's just such a like a microscopic level. But it just feels, moss always feels like teeming with life in ways beyond what one can perceive. And interesting how like, I mean, yeah, if you go this whole like a moss, oh, there is really some like genius to moss because everyone gets tickled by the name moss. I have yet to see someone not have that kind of response whenever you share the name moss.
I know, they totally light up. They're like,
yeah,
whoa, moss is having You took me back to my childhood. I went right there, me on sidewalks and digging up between the sidewalks and just playing with it and like breaking it up. It was like they can be this thick, like it could be that deep into the sidewalk. Amazing. I love moss.
Yeah, it is magical.
It feels magical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's funny because you think of people who make like terrariums or like they'll like little ecosystems in glass, they'll use moss as moss is always involved in like the creating of a terrarium. It does bring this like child play.
Interesting. Yeah. Okay, so moss, the art of living magically. Oh, moss, the art of living magically. So that's going to be, and I'm working with this beautiful soul, this artist who she's helping me she might do some illustrations and that for it. And we're going to actually create, I'm so inspired by all of this. We're going to create a journal. So I'm going to do a whole kind of like conscious creation journal. And this beautiful soul, Megan. Yeah, we're collaborating, and I'm so excited. She's such a beautiful soul and a gifted artist, and so she's gonna help with all these different like the art and the illustrations around the journals. We'll be like an actual journal. So I'm like, we're gonna have a journal. Yeah, moss. A moss journal. About conscious creation. We could do that. Okay, so Natalie, where can people find us?
Well, Liv, for those who are hearing you or being introduced to you the first time through those Daughters of the Milky Way podcast, where are some places that they can find you, your work, what you're creating? I know you have a few pre-recorded trainings that people can so participate with your work that way.
earthsamulet.com. And then, there's pre-recorded courses there. There's one that I really especially love around divination. And there you would see the social media links that on Instagram, Earth's Amulet, and then TikTok. I love TikTok. And a YouTube channel, which I'll be sharing more probably more videos on YouTube about like conscious creation and things like that.
And we'll have the links. If you're listening to this in Spotify or YouTube, in the description, you'll find the links to Liv's work there as well. And then, do you have a timing for when the moss training?
I feel like it's funny to talk about moss seriously. Yeah. Soon.
Yeah.
Probably in a few months. Well, it will be shared. I know I can't talk. It will be announced soon about moss. Look out for moss. Out for moss. Look out for moss. Should I be scared of moss?
So stay tuned. Stay tuned for moss coming at you.
Yes, guys, let's play with us like moss.
And this is why creation energy is so much fun.
Yeah, it's fun.
It is.
You can play with creation. Yeah, we get to be like inner child heart, to
And you can laugh.
make way for that.
Laugh.
Which, yeah, it was like we can laugh.
Anyways, how healing is laughter.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which enables us to be with everything else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know why I said it that way. It sounds so dramatic.
Last words before you leave this earth plane.
We've devolved into silliness. If you're still here with us, I hope you're enjoying
I
it.
know.
Let me see. Last words is
Moss.
last words. Okay, well, it's basically a prayer and intention. It's basically to say, to you, beautiful soul who's listening, who's receiving this, may you receive everything that your heart is desiring. May you thrive. May you feel the connectedness with all of life. May you thrive in love in all the ways. May you have such a beautiful life in this earthly dimension. May it be so.
That's beautiful.
What an honor, Liv.
What an
Thank
honor,
you
Liv.
so
Thank
much
you
for being
so
a
much.
guest. Oh, thank you so much.
We love you. Yeah. For those who are tuning into this episode, please like and subscribe. Leave in the comments how this landed for you. And then if you're following us on Instagram, you can follow Daughters of the Milky Way on Instagram to keep in touch or to keep updated with clips. Yeah. Until the next time, we're sending so much love to you.
Yeah, have a mossy day.